Hello everybody and welcome to The Lily Factor. Ding! Today I brought out my Bombay India Inks, and just seeing those two sitting together, I knew I had to do a drawing of a character with those two colors. I just had to. I was kind of thinking about drawing a character that was super tall. I just felt like kind of taking the average human size and height and just stretch it out. Make them like really thin and really tall. Almost like distorting or like stretching out someone. I don't know, but that was just kind of how I was feeling. I really wanted to draw a tall person. So I kind of brainstormed. I started with one head and I was kind of like bleh. And I also kind of wanted to draw a different face, which is why the head was so weird, but I was like, I'm just gonna go right into a full body and then figure out the head later on. So I kind of started with this body and that pose, and it was going good. I wanted to give it like a jacket or something. So I was really just brainstorming ideas because I wanted the page on the right to have some really fun colored piece. And so I was just kind of thinking of, well, what character could we put on there that's super tall? I also wanted to draw high heels. Just realized that. I was like, oh yeah, I want to draw really high heels. So then I drew that character, and I was liking the body and kind of the outfit and everything, but face and the hair still weren't up to code. So I drew another head and I started brainstorming the new head on that face. I was having a lot of fun sketching everything out, and it was actually pressing a little harder than my norm. It was probably just because I was sketching, so I didn't really care about how hard I was pressing and everything. I just really wanted to pick out a design for the character. But I didn't stress about it. I'm just noticing it now because when I get to the illustration on the next page, I'm actually drawing very light. So I guess it was me pressing hard so I could get that out and then press light on the next page. I was drawing out the hair and it started kind of curly, and I thought it was okay, but I wanted to make it a little different. So her hair ended up being kind of chunky with like almost lightning streak kind of strands of hair, and then I added like this hood to it. I just thought the hood was kind of fun. It was originally like supposed to be the shoulder. I'm like, well, I drew that off, and then I was like, let's make it a hoodie. So there was that explanation. And then she has like a bodysuit underneath her jacket, which was gonna be black, so I kind of just shaded it in on that head. Then I move on to another full body drawing, and this one she's kind of looking up, and she was gonna have like sort of a stance to her, but I ended up changing kind of the positioning of the legs a bit. She also has like her hands in her pockets, which helped me develop, okay, her jacket's gonna have pockets. But I wasn't really happy about drawing her hands in the pockets just because she was so tall and the jacket was so short. It just, yeah, there wasn't really a way for me to get out of drawing that proportionately wrong. So, but it didn't matter. I knew it was going to be unrealistic anyway because it was super tall. But then I started to mimic the hair from that other face onto the sketch, but I made it a little more geometric, and that's when I really liked it, and I fell in love with the design. It was just what I needed. And then I kind of draw her face. She has like this really smug expression. I like it because it kind of goes with the hands in the pocket. Oh, and as you can see, that stance did not work. I don't know what went wrong with the legs there, but kind of like, done, erase it. And then I move back and I start all over with the legs, but I promise this time it works out. It's kind of the theme of the drawing where I just kept drawing the legs close, but not close enough. Keep having to change them. There was another part where I started to kind of add in the legs that I decided to keep because I had started to, you know, kind of sketch the outline of the thighs and the knees and the calves and everything. But if you pay close attention, I mean, isn't that just really thin? Like, whoa! Those are really thin legs. It was like a unhealthy kind of thin width to her. I had to, of course, fix that. Then I added some details in to the outfit that, you know, some of them I liked enough to keep, and then others I'll change later on in the illustration. But I decided to get out some colored pencils of mine and just test out the colors of the inks. The reason I didn't use the actual inks on top of the drawing was just because I've just recently gotten these inks, so I don't know if they'll bleed through the paper or not, and I had a drawing behind it, behind the page, that I didn't want to get ruined. So I just picked out some colored pencils that were pretty similar to how the ink colors were going to work. Then I also took a black colored pencil and just shaded in her bodysuit, since that was the color I chose for it. And then I added some of that pink just behind the character to see, okay, like, well, maybe I can use that India ink in the pink color behind her as, like, the background, since it wasn't really gonna work on her, though I did use a little bit of pink on the skin, even in the colored pencil. It was just not that visible. I also sketched out now on the final illustration, and I started with this super dumb pose that it was actually... It almost was kind of a gymnast pose, but I made it look weird. And it just didn't match the character anyway. And then, oh, here's another failed pose where she was like almost kind of sitting, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I know what pose I want to do. Why am I doing anything but that pose? So I finally erased all those weird failed attempts, and I started with a pose that I was happy with, because I really just wanted to do this kind of like oomph power pose. I mean, it's just standing, but it was just what I wanted to draw today. Nothing particularly special or anything I'm trying to get better at. I just really wanted to draw a tall character in heels with a standing power pose. And I think I got that. Yeah, drawing the high heels. They were like some pretty high heels, and I was like, I'm back to where I started, because I used to only ever draw high heels. And there's not a, like, I didn't stop because I didn't enjoy it or anything. I stopped because I drew them too much. So it was kind of like, oh, this is what I've been missing for so long, because I kind of just stopped, and I'm like, I really love drawing high heels. Then I, you know, sort of outlined more of the sketch and everything, and started doing the face. I like her expression. It's kind of like this, almost like someone's taking a photo of her, and she's kind of like, aw, thanks for taking a picture of me, but I don't really know what to do. So they're just kind of in that awkward pose, but also kind of humbled. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about the pose, but I'm not sure what other people think it looks like, because everyone always has a different interpretation, especially when it comes to my artwork. And then I added, she has like really short sleeves on her jacket, as well as the jacket being short anyway, so kind of added some like outlines for stripes on the sleeves under the jacket sleeve. And I just kind of liked it. It gave her this nice look that I just really liked it. Also added a bit of the details onto her outfit. Then I added some clouds above her. And next came the last minute decision. All of a sudden I was like, you know what? She would be great to be like in front of a city background. But, you know, since it was last minute, it's not really in perspective, and I knew that going in. But this really wasn't a drawing to do everything right or to draw in perspective. It was just to use that beautiful ink right there. Oh, and to draw that awesomely tall character, of course. I took a watercolor brush and dipped a little bit of it into the ink because it's ink, so it kind of just gets on there really hard anyway. And I added a bit of the pink like to the sky in the background because I thought it would give it kind of a nice, almost sunset-ish look. And then came out the green for the hair, which I love that. I loved the green in the hair. It's funny, the hair has like a weird transformation multiple times throughout it because it just kept changing the more I'd add this green ink on top of it. And it was really pretty, but there was like one point I was going, oh no, she looks like a watermelon on her head. But it worked out. Watermelon free. It was really, it was slightly watermelonish, but it changed pretty fast. So not watermelon enough for me to worry about. Like, now that I've said it, people are looking at it going, oh, watermelon. Yeah, it worked out. Then I added some green onto the coat because I had put some harsh green on there for like the shadows of her hair, but then there was too much ink on the brush to to put a lighter green on the highlights of the hair. So I added green onto the jacket because I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with the jacket anyway, and I thought, okay, I'll just blob green on there, and then whatever I choose for the color, I'll go right on top. But I ended up going on top of it with the pink, and it gave it this bluish color that I really liked, and I was kind of relieved. I was like, oh, well, that is actually the color I wanted anyway. And then I added some pink onto the face a bit for like blush and just to make it a little more fleshy-ish. Fleshy-ish. Sorry for that made-up word. Then I added it a bit on the hand, so then it just became an official skin tone. Then I took a graphite pencil crayon thing, I don't really remember what it's called, and I went on top of like the suit where it's supposed to have some like blacker areas, and then I went over it with water because it does that. It's super awesome. But yeah, and then I'll go back over the suit because it's a little too gray for my liking. But I also added some green onto the gloves, but I made sure it was really light, and I liked that. Then I added some more pink on top for the background, and then, oh, I'm back to the gray. Then back to the background. Just like, I was all over the place in this drawing. It was kind of funny. And then I added like a yellowish beige for the towers in the background. Then I'm outlining. Oh, wow, I'm just everywhere. And the outlining was nice. It kind of softened everything out. It was kind of a relief that I didn't have to erase much of the pencil, especially because I was a little too emotionally attached to the sketch, if I'm gonna be honest. I really, really liked the sketch and I didn't want to do anything to it, but it was good. All was well. It worked out. Then I added some more colors and such. Oh, and I brought out this Pitt artist pen marker. It was this gold color, and oh my gosh, I love that thing. It goes over everything. I've went over acrylic paintings with this marker, and it'll go right on top of it perfectly. It's a beautiful marker. I love it. So I added it to kind of the outline of her suit. Then I went back over the gray area of the suit with a black colored pencil to give it that darker color that I wanted. I also went with a different marker for, I don't even remember what it's called. I know it's terrible, but I kind of added that to the building, and then I took my watercolor brush, there we go, I said it, and I went over the marker with water because really, if you go over anything that contains ink with water, it will do that. Spread around and get all smudgy. It's great. But what's not great is not being able to say a watercolor brush. I was about to say marker again. I need to have like a voice lesson for this. Someone teaches me how to say a watercolor brush. Too many words. And then, I went on that other background with like some browns and stuff, and it was kind of a blobby mess, so it'll change a lot drastically throughout this video because there was a whole lot of time spent there. I also went back with that gold marker, and I added kind of a little sun peeking out on the red building, and all those details originally I had sketched out and it was going to be graffiti, but I need to get myself like my own personal class on how to draw graffiti, because that is not something I know, so I wasn't able to imitate that style. But I finished the drawing, and that is how it turned out. It was a lot of fun, and I think I want to draw this character again, but it was a lot of fun, and I love those inks. So thank you everybody for watching. Good luck in life and in art, and happy birthday to my awesome friend who conveniently has the same name, Lily. Happy birthday.